Welcome to another episode of the Fish and Coach Show. My name is Brandon Fisher. This is Coach Ratner, and today we're talking about how you can avoid the post-Birthright Blues.
What are Birthright Blues?
Yeah, what happens after a trip? This is the experience that you might feel after you leave your birthright trip. You have 10 days of complete wow. All the time, you're running from place to place. You're all packed up.
And it's fun.
And it's fun, and it's exhilarating, and it's exhausting, and you go back and you just sleep for 8 hours. I did that.
Yeah. So when does it start? When does Birthright Blues start?
So first of all, the Birthright Blues are that feeling of like, I miss it, I'm a little tired, but like now I miss that whole spiritual experience that I had in Birthright. So when does it start? As soon as you get to the airport to leave.
Yeah.
Not when you get home, not 3 weeks later. In fact, the whole adventure of Birthright actually begins when you get to the airport to leave Birthright, because that's when you apply what you've learned. It's a life-changing trip. Now you have to live with all that. That's the source of the blues.
So how do you avoid this? What are you going to do?
So what you're going to do to avoid the blues is you're going to find a connection when you get back home. You're going to journal while you're here. You're going to do whatever you can on the Birthright trip in order to remember and capture those
videos or journals or Facebook, whatever, Instagram, I should say.
Whatever you do, TikTok, just get it out there, get it documented so that you have something to look back to. Then you get home, don't just live by reviewing it over and over again.
Do something.
Do something with the experience.
Don't live in the past. Live in the future.
Exactly. Now that you've acquired all this new knowledge about the world, that's your whole perspective has been expanded. You got to do something with it. Otherwise, it shrinks again, and you get back used to your society, to your regular way of life. After just 2 weeks, you're pretty much back to your old habits. After a month, Birthright was an ancient memory.
Yeah, it would just be another trip you took for back when you were younger, and next thing nothing comes out of it. That's the worst thing, is to take a trip that's so impactful and gives you so much wisdom and knowledge and spirituality that you want to be able to take that with you for the rest of your life. So one way to avoid having these Birthright Blues is to be engaged. Right?
Exactly. Engage yourself into Jewish life or Jewish cultural life in some degree back home on your college campus or wherever you live.
And what I would suggest maybe is consider taking leadership roles in some of these organizations.
Yeah, because now you know something that most people never get to see or experience. Share that experience.
I mean, didn't you take a leadership role in Hillel down at
did.
College? In which
and
college?
That happened after my Birthright trip or during,
Yeah.
I went to University of Central Florida in Orlando, and I wasn't really in a leadership role at the time of my Birthright trip.
By the way, I didn't realize how big a school that was.
60,000 people.
Is it bigger than University of Florida?
Size-wise, yes. Jewish-wise, no.
Okay.
Jewish-wise, they have 8,000 Jews. We have 6,000.
Well, it's still a lot, yeah.
Still a lot. We have more than Maryland. Mm-hmm. Maryland is known to be huge, very active.
So what did you do for leadership-wise?
So anyway, I stepped in. I came over to my Hillel on campus, which had this beautiful building. And they still do have the beautiful building. You got to see it. We were there about a couple months ago. And I took the role. I actually just planning Shabbats. Yeah. And that eventually turned into being the vice president, and then eventually being the president of the
And
university.
did you engage a lot of people when you were there?
And we engaged so many people. We reached out. We went when I started. We had about 15 people to Shabbat meals. Right. By the end of it, we had 110 every.
That's
week.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It became an event.
Right. And all because I had I knew a little bit more than other people, and I could share a little bit more than other people.
Yeah. The way that works from what I learned Jewishly, that if you know the letter Aleph, you teach Aleph. Exactly. If you know the letter Bet, you teach Bet. People call me rabbi. I'm not a rabbi. I study. I look at the Torah. I read books from. One of the greatest books I read was from Senator Joe Lieberman. Joe Lieberman, A Gift of Rest. It was an unbelievable book. How he was able to he basically became vice president because back in 2000, because of the hanging chads in Florida, whatever, if you guys remember that, if you're even born then. But he was senator of Connecticut. When senator is a big job. There's only 15 in the whole United States, and he was able to have Shabbat dinners in his office. If he had to work that weekend, he'd only go into work if he had to, like a vote on a tax war or a big tax increase. He'd go and he'd have Shabbat dinner with his wife in his office. He'd sleep in his office, and how he was able to keep a Jewish life while at the same time traveling and being a senator.
It's such an inspiring
and a powerful senator, not just a very powerful senator.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was almost the vice president.
Yeah.
You say he was the vice president.
Yeah. By popular vote for sure. And then, anyway.
Regardless, you might not grow up to be Joe Lieberman. However, you could bring back those values whatever it was, small or large, back home with you. And one or two things that you take home and say, like, while you're in Israel, I'm going to do this when I go back home. You go back home and you actually do it. That's something that's going to help you really move forward.
And don't be Jew-barrassed.
Don't be Jew-barrassed.
Jew-barrassed is when, like, you go into a situation, you might go into a synagogue or you're a Chabad or something, and you're embarrassed because you don't know what maybe the rabbi knows, and you're embarrassed because, like, you're a Jew and you should know more than maybe what you know, which a lot of us are like that. But don't be Jew-barrassed. Say, go in with an open heart, an open mind, saying, you know what? I don't know a lot, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow as a person. I'm willing to take leadership roles and do what I can to help the Jewish nation out.
And it's okay if you don't know anything, even Aleph.
Yes.
You know a little bit. You've been to Birthright. Even if you haven't been to Birthright, if you know even just a little bit, just get involved and know that it's okay not to know.
Anyone can be a leader. It's not hard.
Right.
You know, it's very easy to take leadership roles, and really it changes you as a person. It helps you when you go into the real world and try to get a job and raise a family.
The
most valuable is being a Jewish leader.
And there's no shortage of opportunities.
Oh my God, they need so many Jewish leaders.
Everywhere, no matter how old you are, there's a Jewish community or an organization that's looking for leaders like you.
And I would highly recommend making a Shabbat dinner a part of your week, because you get all your friends together for a gathering. You can make it's lots of fun, and you have tons of food, and you have alcohol if you drink, and then tons of desserts, and you can play games and have lots of fun.
It really is that Birthright experience brought home with you.
Yeah, and then one last thing, my big thing is plan. You know, I used to go to Florida a lot for vacations. Down in Palm Beach, and we loved going, and I hated leaving. Right. So I always had a ticket to come back before I left. So one thing you can do is, if you go on Birthright, book a trip back for another trip, for something else. You can do other Birthright trips, like Birthright 2.0. You can lead a Birthright trip. There's Birthright 2.0, which is a more advanced, second level Birthright. I'll
tell you a secret. I went on 8, at least, free trips to Israel. There's no shortage of opportunities to come if you look in the right places, and you can make it happen. Yeah. And the thing is, on Birthright, you're kind of like living this weird version of life, which is called touring, where you get to see like this much, like a little tiny amount of look, here's the holiest place in the world. Oh, here's Tel Aviv. Here's the Negev. Yeah. And you don't get to experience anything. You just get to like kind of, it's like a little experience, but not
you get a taste. You get a little taste. You don't get the whole meal of the whole bite of it.
Exactly.
You want the whole app of it. You want to get the app. When you come to the Shuk, I go to the Shuk all the time. It's awesome. Right. I'm still blown away that I'm at the Shuk all the time.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. There's so many cool things. The Shuk is like an incubator for restaurants.
Yeah.
In Israel, all the restaurants all over Israel come to the Shuk to open up, because they can open up small little places, and they call it street food. So what they try their ideas out at different places, and it's always changing. It's so neat.
All the time. Yeah. They have meat cones. You can get meat in your ice cream cone.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, but it's
I don't want meat in my ice cream cones.
They're trying
not for me.
No. Yeah. The point is though, like, when you come back
meatball
on
flavored
trip,
ice cream.
No, pass on that one.
Yeah.
When you come back on an organized trip, though, like on another trip, the second level trips usually give you time to be, time to experience, time to like feel like you actually live there. And if you don't get that experience, you kind of just, Israel exists. That's really beautiful. You had a great time there, and it's a thing of your past.
Yeah, but bring it home. Live it at home. Bring it home. Bring the ideas home. Be a leader. Be involved. Engaging, because you'll be surprised how much pleasure it's going to bring you.
Right. Get involved and have an amazing time processing your trip. But remember, the adventure starts with what you do with the experience. The adventure starts when you get to the airport. Let's offer this again. If you're in Jerusalem, you're watching this before your Birthright trip, or you come back on your second trip. Birthright 2.0, Akiva trip, etc. Let us know. We'd love to meet up with you. You have our email address, or direct message us.
Brandon and I, Fish and I, the coach, we teach classes here all the time in the Old City of Jerusalem. We're always available for classes. We teach classes on all sorts of different subjects, not just Torah and spirituality. We teach on relationships and wealth building and motivational Find Your Awesome Center I'll be giving this summer. So there's lots to learn and do here in Jerusalem.
Yeah, so come back, stay with us, say hi to us. The fishandcoachshow@gmail.com is our email address. We confirmed it. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening.
See you next time. Thanks for watching the Fish and Coach Show.
If you like what you just watched, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment with any ideas you'd like to see on any future episodes.
We'll see you next time.